So that's Congress's Randeep Surjewala making it very clear that they're not backing down, that the Delhi police may have denied permission for what he refers to as this satyagraha, but they will continue and that Congress leaders will be marching to the Enforcement Directorate office. Let's get you a live update now from the ED headquarters. Munish Pandey is joining us live from there. Munish, good morning. In less than 20 minutes from now, Rahul Gandhi is expected to appear there at the ED office. Prohibitory orders, we understand, have also been imposed there to ensure that, Congress workers don't gather as they plan to in that show of solidarity.
Yeah, well, Akshita, let me give you a sense of what exactly is happening at the ED headquarters in the national capital. First, let me tell you where I'm standing is the APJ Abdul Kalam Road, and this road leads to the Enforcement Directorate headquarters in the national capital. Now, on any normal day, I have not seen any barricading. We are allowed to go inside, but today, the police has been placed here just to ensure that no person is allowed, even if the person is from media. Also, there is a warning. Act 144 CRPC is imposed here. It is requested to all of you that do not violate the Act 144 CRPC, otherwise strict legal action will be taken. Now, this road leads to the Enforcement Directorate office, and Rahul Gandhi, once he comes here, he will go from the very same way. Now, on the other side, you can see there is the Delhi police barricading. No person, apart from those who work here, there are embassies here. Those who work here, their I-cards are being checked, and apart from those people, they are not being allowed. All the vehicle movements have been closed. On the other side, if my camera person Ritesh can show you, there is a police deployment, there is a paramilitary deployment, and they are trying to ensure that Rahul Gandhi, once he comes, he shouldn't be accompanied by any supporter or any other person should not come. Now, as far as today's questioning is going to be concerned, he has been called by the Enforcement Directorate, and this is the first time that Rahul Gandhi will be appearing physically before any federal probe agency in the country. Now, Enforcement Directorate summoned him. He is appearing today, and it is likely that he will be questioned for at least 4 to 5 hours in this entire case. And once the questioning is over, then only we will get to know that what the next action of ED is going to be. His mother, Sonia Gandhi, is also set to appear on June 23rd. But as far as this entire case is concerned, what sources within the Enforcement Directorate is saying that there are 3 officers who are ready to take down the statement of Rahul Gandhi. And why he is being questioned is because he was one of the shareholders of Young India. He was an office bearer, and that is why this questioning is very important, not only for the Enforcement Directorate, but also for the Congress party and the Gandhi family. Akshita.
So all quiet where you are right now at the ED office, Munish. It's not going to stay like that for long, because in about 15 minutes from now, we're expecting that Rahul Gandhi will be making his way there to the ED headquarters, to the ED office. And what exactly is his plan? Let's find out from Supriya Bharatwaj. She's reporting live from outside Rahul Gandhi's residence. Massive posters, hoardings that have been put up, Supriya, outside Rahul's residence expressing solidarity with him. But is he going to be making his way alone to the ED office? Is he going to be a part of this massive march, the show of solidarity that's, lined up with several of the Congress leaders expected to gather?
Well, Akshita, first and foremost, I would like to show you the situation at 12 Tughlaq Lane, the residence of Mr. Gandhi. The entire area here also has been cordoned off. There is a heavy deployment of the police force. And what we are hearing is that in a short while, Mr. Gandhi is going to leave from here, from his residence, and will head towards AICC headquarters. This is what Randeep Singh Surjewala has just mentioned in the press conference. So far as the entire movement of Mr. Gandhi is concerned, that hasn't been shared by his office or by AICC, but what Mr. Surjewala has just said in the press conference is that most likely Mr. Gandhi is going to join the Satyagraha march. But here I would like to show you as to how there is extra deployment of the police force, the Delhi police there, the media people are present here. Usually it is just the CRPF or the paramilitary forces which are present here, but today there's an extra deployment of the Delhi police also. You can see that more barricades have been brought in, and what we are hearing from the Congress party sources is that Mr. Gandhi, along with other senior leaders, might march up to the ED office, and then he will go for that appearance before the federal agency around 10 a.m.
Okay, so in a few moments from now, we're expecting that Rahul Gandhi will be stepping out of his home, as Supriya just told us. He will then make his way to where Munish is, at the ED office. But what we've also been seeing is a showdown at the Congress headquarters from early this morning, because you had a handful of Congress workers being detained as they started gathering in large numbers. All entry points right now to the Congress headquarters has been shut off, so that none of these Congress leaders can actually gather and continue with their agitation as they plan. The Delhi police, let me remind you, has denied permission for the agitation, for this satyagraha, as the Congress refers to it, that they plan from the Congress headquarters. Munish, similar situation that we are being told is at the ED office, that Rahul Gandhi is expected to appear there alone. If he's, with a group of Congress workers, there are in fact a number of Delhi police personnel on the ground there who will not allow anyone else to come through to the building.
Yeah, well, Akshita, there is a 3-level of security. The first level of security is this barricading on the main road. Even for a media person, as of now, any media person is not allowed. So apart from Rahul Gandhi, no other person will be allowed. Only those who are working with the Enforcement Directorate or the embassies or offices nearby, only those people are being allowed apart from the residents. Now this is the second level of barricading which I am showing you. This is a road which leads to the Enforcement Directorate office. Now this road is usually open, but today it has been barricaded and no other person is being allowed apart from those work here. Now once you go inside, it's a road of almost 100 meters, and once you go inside, then there are 3 gates of Enforcement Directorate office. Gate number 3 is the gate from where Rahul Gandhi will be entering the Enforcement Directorate office, and that office is being guarded by the paramilitary forces. It means that even if there are 1 or 2 supporters who want to accompany Rahul Gandhi and who manages to cross all these 2 barricades, then also the paramilitary forces which have been deployed at the ED office, they will be stopping the other person. Once Rahul Gandhi is there, then he has to go through the process. He has to get the pass. He has to first show the summon. He has to get the pass from the ED officer who is deployed outside, and then he will be taken inside the office of the Enforcement Directorate, where the additional director will be waiting for him. He will be recording the statement. So it is going to be quite a dramatic questioning of Rahul Gandhi, who will be appearing for the first time before the Enforcement Directorate, and then for several hours this questioning will continue. But as far as this place is concerned, also I'd like to show the viewers here that these barricades have been placed on this road, but outside these barricades there have been multiple people, multiple supporters of Congress Party and Rahul Gandhi who have been detained by the Delhi police. Apart from that, there are traffic police officials and paramilitary forces who are ensuring that no other person apart from Rahul Gandhi even stands there. This entire road has been blocked, and apart from that, if any person tries to raise a slogan or in support of Rahul Gandhi, if the person is standing, then they are being detained immediately.
Okay, so Munish getting us all the details from the Enforcement Directorate office, all deployment made to ensure that it's only Rahul Gandhi who's allowed in. The Congress workers who are planning to gather there, stage a dharna, etc., that's simply not going to be allowed. But let me also highlight for you that this is a pan-India agitation that the Congress has planned for today. So it's not just in Delhi, it's also across the country at 25 ED offices that you're going to be seeing Congress workers gathering, around the building, and also expressing their solidarity with Rahul Gandhi. And it's on that update that I also want to bring in my colleague Dev Kotak, who's reporting from Mumbai. Dev, in Mumbai, the Congress leaders are planning to gather outside the ED office there, essentially, express their solidarity, take forward the satyagraha, as they call it, across the country.
Yes, like you mentioned, rightly mentioned, multiple locations across the country have been identified where ED offices are there, and the Congress workers of those respective city or state party units will also be going there and protesting outside the Enforcement Directorate office. Also, their main bone of contention is that please stop using central agencies such as the ED to target their senior leaders like Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, who've been summoned in connection with the money laundering case related to the National Herald newspaper. Right now we are at the Mumbai Regional Congress Committee office, the headquarters in the Azad Maidan CST area of Mumbai. Also, I'd like to quickly point it out to those hoardings and those banners which have already been placed since last night. It says, पहले बदनाम किया, फिर पुलिस से हमला करवाया, and then ED से डराने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. Also, things like these that have been put up, trying to highlight how they are also protesting against the vindictive agenda of the Enforcement Directorate. At 12 noon today, this rally will begin from this very location where we are currently present, and they will go all the way to the Ballard Estate Enforcement Directorate office. Outside that, also as per unconfirmed reports, we are also hearing that police will be stopping them at a certain point and will not be allowing them to go all the way till the ED office. So these are the kind of details that we have for now, Akshita.
Okay, let me just get a quick update also from Saurabh Vakhtania, who's reporting from Ahmedabad. Similar protest that's planned there as well. Saurabh, has permission been granted to Congress workers there to gather at the ED office?
So, where Akshita, the Congress officials in Gujarat did not get any permission for any protest march to the ED office. Let me tell you that they did not even get permission that they can move a protest on the roads of Ahmedabad, because they had planned a huge protest. The office bearers and the leaders of Congress party from all over the Gujarat are coming to Ahmedabad today. But the police have given no permission to them, and therefore now the protest will be happening inside closed doors. This is the auditorium, this is the GMDC ground in Ahmedabad, and inside this the protest is going to happen. Let me tell you, here the whole banners and posters are being put up by the Congress party. It clearly says that Rahul Gandhi डरने वाले नहीं है, Congress party डरती नहीं है. Such posters have been put up at all over in this place, and also as well as some other parts of Ahmedabad. But this particular place, the police have clearly said them that outside this particular ground, no Congress worker should be seen. If any Congress worker or the leader is seen protesting outside this particular ground, they will be immediately detained. So there is a strict police bandobast. You can see the Congress workers right now coming slowly because the protest time over here is 10 a.m. and in some time several of the leaders and the workers will be starting to coming on. And let me tell you, there is a huge police protection in all over this particular whole GMDC ground. Around 1,000 police officials have been called up from different places in Ahmedabad and nearby, and they have been given clear strict instructions that no Congress worker will be allowed to move out of this particular ground. They will have the permission to only protest inside this particular GMDC ground. So it will be interesting to see what the Congress, how they protest, if they only protest inside this GMDC ground or they come on road. It will be important to see.
Saurabh getting us that update. Thanks, Saurabh, for the moment for joining us. We're getting you also reports from across the country because, as I mentioned, 25 ED offices will see these kind of protests by Congress workers. In most parts, it's clear from what Saurabh and they have also told us that there's no permission that's been granted for this kind of an agitation, similar to what's playing out in the national capital, where hours ago we saw scores of Congress workers being detained by the Delhi police. Let me take this back across to Supriya Bharadwaj, who's reporting from Rahul Gandhi's residence. We'll get to her in just a bit for that update on when Rahul Gandhi is expected out. What she told us earlier is that about 10 in the morning is when he's expected to make his way to the Enforcement Directorate office. But will be important to see what the situation is on the ground. Will Rahul Gandhi choose to go ahead with that mega show of solidarity? Will he join his colleagues and march to the Enforcement Directorate office? In which case, the Delhi police will stop all of these leaders from moving any closer to the ED office. Munish Pandey is reporting from the Enforcement Directorate office also on this. Munish, we understand that prohibitory orders have also been imposed right now at the ED office to ensure there are no gatherings whatsoever. Have there been attempts from this morning for Congress workers to gather there? Because we saw scenes at the Congress headquarters where many of them were detained.
So, well, Akshita, there were a handful of Congress supporters who were standing at this barricade and they were raising slogans in support of Mr. Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party. And at the very same time, at the very same moment, those supporters were detained. There is a Delhi police bus which has been placed right outside this barricade, and any person who is a supporter of Rahul Gandhi, that person is being detained immediately. If there is a civilian who is standing just to see what is happening here, that person is also not being allowed. The traffic here has been the movement of traffic has been stopped by the Delhi police, and what the Delhi police at this point of time is ensuring that if Rahul Gandhi appears before the Enforcement Directorate, he should not be breaking this law, because Section 144 has been imposed. It means that more than 5 people not be allowed in this particular premises. Apart from that, there is a request to the ED officials also that only those people should be called inside the ED office who have been summoned for today. For example, in a while from now, Satyendra Jain will be taken from the very same ED office where Rahul Gandhi
Munish, my apologies for interrupting. Let's cut across to some live reactions. Rajiv Shukla of the Congress currently speaking.
रोक दिया तो इस सरकार की जातियां लगातार जारी है।
और इस पूरी कार्रवाई को आप जो कैसे देखते हैं?
इस पूरी कार्रवाई पूरी तरह से अवैधानिक, असंवैधानिक और गलत ढंग से फंसाने की कोशिश है।
थैंक यू।
Congress headquarters there, you've got several senior leaders of the Congress now gathering. Randeep Surjewala, who held a press conference just a few moments ago, has confirmed that Rahul Gandhi and other leaders will peacefully march to the ED office. So it's expected that Rahul will make his way first to the Congress headquarters and from there march along with leaders of his party all the way to the ED office. There's no permission for a gathering at the Congress headquarters. There's no permission for a gathering at the ED office either, which means that at the Congress headquarters itself, you'll see a number of Congress workers being detained, not being allowed to gather. Our reporters on the ground have also been telling us that all entry points into the Congress headquarters have been blocked off, completely closed off to ensure that no gathering can happen there. Besides that, at the ED office too, similar provisions that have been made with barricading all across the ED headquarters. But the Congress maintaining that we'll go ahead with our satyagraha because we have plans of ensuring that this is a peaceful protest and there's a place for that in this democracy. Supriya Bharadwaj is with us from outside Rahul Gandhi's residence. So Supriya, Randeep Surjewala has confirmed that Rahul will very much be a part of this peaceful march from the Congress headquarters to the ED office. Don't think we have Supriya with us. We'll go across to her in just a bit. But from the Congress headquarters to the ED office is where all of these Congress leaders will be marching. Rahul Gandhi will also be a part of, in fact, this particular march. That's been confirmed by Randeep Surjewala. Despite the fact that permission hasn't been granted for this kind of an agitation. Road blockades all across the national capital right now. So a word of caution for all of the Delhiites watching this broadcast. If you're stepping out of your homes, be sure to take a look at the Delhi police advisory as well, because several arterial roads of Delhi right now have been shut off owing to this protest march that the Congress is planning. They've been gathering since early this morning. There are posters, hoardings that have been put up across Delhi outside Rahul Gandhi's residence, at the Congress office as well as at the ED office. This is a massive agitation that the Congress has lined up. The BJP, of course, has lashed out, saying that this is not a satyagraha, it's a scamagraha. And they also said that, you know, this is the All India Corrupt Committee who's coming out in such large numbers to do Nautanki, to back corruption. That is the allegation from the BJP, who has referred to all of this as just a fake show of solidarity. But at this point, the Congress making it clear that whether permission is granted or not, they're going to go ahead with this agitation. They're saying that there's no reason for them to be denied permission because this is a peaceful agitation. Preeti Chaudhary is joining us live with more details on this. So Preeti, stage set for a showdown because, you know, the Congress has made it clear that Rahul Gandhi is going to be a part of that peaceful march, whether the police has provided permission or not.
Well, you know, good morning, Akshata. We're right now in front of the ED office, and I have to say, there have been so many cases that possibly I would have covered here. I've never seen this kind of barricading and this kind of security. I'll give you a sense of where we are. We can't even actually reach the actual ED office. Can you see right there? There's a 3-tier barricading right here. There's a SWAT team on my right-hand side. huge amounts of barricading, huge amounts of policing. Every arterial road that comes to the ED office is right now barricaded and blocked. I want to actually, bring in Arvind, my colleague, because he and I were just having this conversation earlier. Arvind, kabhi itna जो बैरिकेडिंग देखी है ईडी ऑफिस के लिए, क्योंकि मेरे को तो खुद ही आधा घंटा लग गया यहाँ पे, मैं पिछले 20 मिनट से चल के
नहीं, अभी तक इस तरह की बैरिकेडिंग देखने को नहीं मिली है। और नासिर, अगर आप खुद भी देख रही होंगी, ये जो मेन ईडी की तरफ का ये रास्ता जाता है, यहाँ पर बैरिकेडिंग है। उसके अलावा पूरे नई दिल्ली इलाके में बैरिकेडिंग की गई है। जो परमिशन थी इस मार्च की, वो दिल्ली पुलिस ने नहीं दी। उसके बाद कल देर रात जो हमारी दिल्ली पुलिस सोर्सेस से बात हुई कि जितने भी यहाँ पर फोर्स थे, एक्स्ट्रा फोर्स बुलाई गई है। पूरे नई दिल्ली इलाके में तकरीबन 100 से 150 बैरिकेडिंग की गई है। और खास तौर पर अकबर रोड से ईडी की तरफ का जो रास्ता जाता है दफ्तर की तरफ का, उस रास्ते पर पूरी बैरिकेडिंग की गई है। और कोशिश यही है कि राहुल गांधी जब यहाँ पहुंचते हैं तो कोई कांग्रेस का वर्कर या कोई भी प्रोटेस्टर यहाँ तक न पहुंच पाए।
पर जहां से भी हम आ रहे थे अरविंद, जहां से भी हम आ रहे थे अभी, बिल्कुल सिर्फ एक ही चीज दिख रही है और वो है बैरिकेड।
सिर्फ बैरिकेडिंग दिख रही है। और देखिए ना, आप ये देखिए, अगर ये ईडी का ऑफिस से समझाने की कोशिश करेंगे तो ये स्वैट की वैन है, सामने जो वहां पर देखेंगे वहां पर भी बैरिकेडिंग है। तो कमोबेश हर जगह आपको यही देखने को मिलेगा, बैरिकेडिंग ईडी के दफ्तर पर। और सबकी
कितनी कंपनीज है
इसमें देखिए, जो नई दिल्ली की पुलिस फोर्स है वो तो है ही है, उसके अलावा एक्स्ट्रा पुलिस लाइन से फोर्स बुलाई गई। तकरीबन 1000 से ज्यादा, ये मैं कम संख्या बता रहा हूँ, 1000 से ज्यादा केवल ईडी दफ्तर के आसपास मूवमेंट है पुलिस की।
सिर्फ 1000 से ज्यादा, और वो दिख भी रहा है। बहुत शुक्रिया अरविंद। I want to cut across immediately to my colleague Kamaljeet Sandhu, who's joining us from the AICC headquarters. Kamal, I know you're not very far away from me, but in terms of the kind of barricading we've seen, and I have to say, if all the stories that I've covered, which involves, somebody coming to the Enforcement Directorate, I have never seen policing, barricading the way we have. Over 1,000 police personnel. And that's a moderate estimate and a conservative estimate right now stationed outside the ED office. What's the latest coming in from the AICC, from the Congress headquarters?
Well, unprecedented measures being taken by Delhi police, heavy barricading being done. Meanwhile, Congress leaders have announced that Rahul Gandhi will lead the Satyagraha, even though Delhi police has denied that particular permission. We have with us the Amritsar MP, Gurjeet Singh Aujla. Sir, the permission has been denied. But how do you see this? You're calling it a satyagraha of sorts and calling this an act of defiance as far as Congress party is concerned.
देखिए, ये लोकतंत्र की हत्या है। ये संवैधानिक कदरों कीमतों को पहले भी छक्के पे रखा है, अब भी वही हालत ये गवर्नमेंट कर रही है। अब देखिए, राहुल गांधी जी को नोटिस दिया है, बात अंदर उन्हीं जो पूछना आप पूछिए, लेकिन हमारा एक हक है, हम वहां तक सत्याग्रह के तौर पर जा सकते हैं।
अगर हक है, देखिए ऐसा है, वो बोल रहे हैं कि मोदी जी भी जब सीबीआई ने बुलाया था गए थे, यहाँ पर तो ये बात आ रही है, अगर वो उनको बुलाया गया, अपना स्टेटमेंट रिकॉर्ड करें, ये सत्याग्रह या शोर शराबा जैसे करने की क्या जरूरत है?
एक वाहिद लीडर है जो देश में देश की आवाज उठा रहा है, उस आवाज को बंद करना चाहते हैं। अब सब ट्विटर हैंडल चेक कर लीजिए, एक राहुल गांधी जी ऐसे नेता हैं जो एक एक बात के ऊपर मोदी जी को कंडेम करते हैं, उनकी पॉलिसी को कंडेम करते हैं, एक डेमोक्रेटिक तरीके के साथ, एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वे के साथ। लेकिन ये
तो आज आप लोग सब मार्च करेंगे?
बिल्कुल करेंगे।
डिटेंशन हो कुछ
भी हो।
So let's just try and get you more leaders out here, Preeti. All the top leaders are here. Gaurav Gogoi joins us. He's live on India Today. So do tell us, a show of strength, a show of solidarity. But meanwhile, the sort of Delhi police action goes to show that a lot of detentions have already taken place. What really happens from now on?
See, it is unfortunate that the police, under the instructions of Prime Minister Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah, have turned this part of Delhi into a war zone. Forget about Congress supporters, not even members of the media are allowed to enter. This shows that the police are planning some draconian action. We are all concerned about the safety of senior Congress leaders, former chief ministers who are here. But if there is something to learn and tell the people of India, that like the farmers who did not back down after year-long protests, the Congress party and its supporters will not back down. And this is a message that people of India want to send to Prime Minister Modi, that do not think that the show of force and the biased use of ED, Income Tax Department and police
Congress will not be bogged down, but how do you see BJP's charge when they call Rahul Gandhi as a fake Gandhi?
Say, the Congress party under the leadership of Rahul Gandhi ji have always called out the flaws of Prime Minister Modi, whether it's related to the economy, inflation, China, COVID management. So the Prime Minister is always on the back foot and is unable to respond.
So this is a PMLA case. This pertains to a 2012 PMLA. This is the National Herald case. So what really goes wrong if he goes and makes a statement before the ED?
See, you all know that how the Enforcement Directorate is being used to target only opposition leaders. Back in Assam, there is a chief minister whose wife is linked to a firm. But ED will never target a BJP leader. ED is being used, and this is biased use, and this is what is dangerous for democracy. This is what is dangerous for people of India. Tomorrow ED will target a media house. So therefore it is against the biased use. When there is a neutral investigation, the Gandhi family and the Congress leadership have cooperated. Even in the past, even on this matter of the National Herald case, the Congress party has gone to the court and have always cooperated. But this biased use, this shows that how democracy is being turned into an autocracy.
Well, thank you so much for speaking to us, Preeti. Let me just try and show you what is really happening out here in Congress party. You will see a sea of Congress flags, a sea of national flags now out here. So there is the number which has gathered, and we've been told that several of these particular Congress workers came in and all these Satyagraha posters, and some of them say, we still don't hate you, Modi ji, keep trying. So a whole lot of them, we'll just try and get you a sense from Congress workers. नेता हैं, लेकिन आप लोग कांग्रेस की कह सकते हैं रीढ़ हैं, कांग्रेस वर्कर्स हैं. कितने बजे आप लोग आए, क्योंकि बैरिकेडिंग तो बहुत सख्त है बाहर?
देखिए, बैरिकेड तो ये लोग सुबह में 4-5 बजे से पहले ये पूरा पैक करके रखे हुए हैं चारों ओर से. हमारे साथी रात भर हम यहाँ पर सोए हैं, हमारे कार्यकर्ता.
तभी आप अंदर आ पाए?
बिल्कुल, तभी आए हैं. और हमको पता, जैसे पुलिस को अपनी स्ट्रेटेजी होती है, हम अपनी स्ट्रेटेजी से चलते हैं. देश भर से लोग जो आ रहे हैं उनको भी रोका जा रहा है. 4-4 किलोमीटर दूर बैरिकेड लगाए हुए हैं, हर चौराहे पर उनको पाबंदी लगा कर रखी हुई है. पर एक बात है, हम लोग इस बात से खुश है कि मोदी और शाह इतने तानाशाह होते हुए भी बहुत डर रहे हैं. कांग्रेस की इस ताकत
ने कहा ना कि जब भाजपा और मोदी डरते हैं, पुलिस को आगे करते हैं.
आगे क्या कुछ करेंगे आप लोग, क्या रणनीति रहेगी?
जनता की लड़ाई लड़ेंगे.
किस तरह से रणनीति क्या होगी उसकी?
रणनीति यही है कि उसको उजागर करने के लिए सड़क पर, सदन में, अदालत में, सब जगह लड़ेंगे.
आज एक तरह से जो एजेंसी के सामने राहुल गांधी पेश हो रहे हैं, आप लोग लगातार उसका विरोध करते रहे कि काफी पुराना केस है. लगता है कि ये जो
केस है ही नहीं. कहाँ केस है? कोई एफआईआर है क्या? ये ईडी केस तो मोदी सरकार ने 2014 में चालू किया और उन्हीं की सरकार ने बिना कोई प्रमाण मिले उसे समाप्त कर दिया.
जी बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. दिग्विजय सिंह इस वक्त हमारे साथ जुड़ गए हैं. और सर, ये सवाल होगा सबसे पहले मेरा कि ये लड़ाई किसके बीच है, आप किस तरह देखते हैं? राहुल गांधी वर्सेस कौन?
All right, Kamaljeet, they're reporting from the AICC, the Congress headquarters. I just want to give our viewers perspective of where we are. I'm right in the middle, standing in the middle of one of the most arterial roads in central Delhi. Right on the right-hand side that you can see, and my camera person, Nasir, will get you a pan perspective. This is the road which leads to the Enforcement Directorate office. In all probabilities, Rahul Gandhi would be taking this particular route to go inside. What you see right now, at least as far as we can count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers of barricading here. I want to also get our viewers a bit of an understanding. Right behind me, can you see right there? Now, this is another arterial road which leads to the Enforcement Directorate's office. There's 6 barricades there, 6 layers of barricading on that side. Once again, like I said, to be standing here right in the middle of the road, it's surreal to say the least. It's peak traffic hour in terms of office. But I have been, for the last half hour, I've been walking in to try and reach my camera person who was here, to give our viewers a sense of the kind of security measures that have been placed in terms of the barricading. It's at least is what we are getting to understand, over 1,000 police personnel, and it's a conservative estimate, viewers, that are guarding just the ED office. What we are also getting in right now, I want to quickly cut into the latest news break that's coming in. Priyanka Gandhi has tested negative for COVID once again. She tested positive after her mother, Sonia Gandhi, had tested positive, while Sonia Gandhi is right now in hospital, admitted at Gangaram Hospital due to COVID. On the other hand, Priyanka Gandhi has tested negative this morning. Word is coming in, viewers, that there is a probability that she could be joining Congress's Satyagraha March, what the Congress has labelled it as. Will she, won't she? A big question mark on that. I want to pull in my colleague Supriya, who's joining us from Rahul Gandhi's residence to get a larger understanding. Supriya, are we going to be expecting Priyanka Gandhi to join the Congress's Satyagraha, is what they're calling it?
Well, this is what the information we are getting, Preeti, but I would like to show you the scenes which is panning out outside the residence of Mr. Rahul Gandhi. Police movement here also. It is unprecedented. A New Delhi district has turned into a fortress, and there are police and only police at every nook and corner. This is what is happening here. You can see that more police deployment has taken place over here. Earlier, it was just the paramilitary force which is deployed, and now it is the Delhi police officials also who have come here, senior people, as well as there is this police deployment, and you can see over this very route also the police is now taking position. What we are hearing is that Rahul Gandhi might leave from his residence in a short while, and then he will head towards the AICC headquarters. This is the residence of Rahul Gandhi. I would like to show you that Rahul Gandhi's residence, there is a movement over here, and from here he will push off towards from Tughlaq Lane to AICC headquarters, and Congress party is saying that Rahul Gandhi will very much lead that Satyagraha March. Also, what we are learning from sources that Priyanka Gandhi Vadra has tested negative, and she is most likely to join the Satyagraha March. So this is the situation over here. The entire road, you can see there is police deployment, and here also the movement is taking place. It's really unprecedented. From here, from Tughlaq Lane, the AICC headquarters just 3 kilometers away, but the entire area has been cordoned off, and we know what is happening outside the AICC headquarters. There's a 5-layer barricading which has taken place. Preeti, there are 25 ED offices.
It's a 3-kilometer distance from Rahul Gandhi's residence to the AICC headquarters. Supriya, can you hear me? Supriya, there's a 3-kilometer distance from Rahul Gandhi's residence to the AICC headquarters. There's no other way. He'll have to walk it to the Congress office. He would be joined, I think, in all probabilities. That's the indication seems to suggest by Priyanka Gandhi. Will you give us a perspective, Supriya? And I'm going to cut across to the Congress headquarters in just about 20 seconds after I speak with you. Kamaljeet is there. But which are the biggest leaders that have gathered in Delhi who are going to be marching besides both right now, Rahul Gandhi for sure, in all probability, Priyanka Gandhi as well, to the ED office right here. I doubt if they'll be able to make it the kind of barricading that there is. But can you give us the names? Which are the leaders right now who are in Delhi marching alongside Rahul Gandhi? Ready to?
Well, Preeti, who's who? Both the chief ministers, that is the CM of Rajasthan, Mr. Ashok Gehlot, along with him, the chief minister of Chhattisgarh, Mr. Bhupesh Baghel, and also all the CWC members and the MPs of the Congress party, also all the senior leaders, including Digvijay Singh and Gaurav Gogois, the MPs, the MLAs, the CWC leaders and Congress party workers also have come from across the country. What we are hearing is that this entire march was earlier in solidarity of Rahul Gandhi being called to the ED headquarters. The police, the Congress party is maintaining that Rahul Gandhi is the only leader who has been raising the voice against the government policy time and again, and that is what is led to this action by the ED. But Preeti, on the other hand, the kind of action that we have seen from the Delhi police today has led to this massive showdown that the Congress party is also saying that this is going to be a show of strength. We are not going to back down. We will continue to protest. And the Satyagraha March, earlier it was that Rahul Gandhi will be going towards the ED office, and in somewhere in midway the the senior leader of the Congress party will be joining him. But now this plan has changed, and I would like to show you that there is a heavy deployment at the gates of the Rahul Gandhi's residence, as well as there is
I'm going to just come in, Supriya, and the reason I'm coming in is because what's the diktat by the Congress party is that every ED office in every city, Congress leaders, Congress cadre should squat there in protest. I want to cut across right now as we also going to dip into news break. But first up, cutting across to Dev Ankur, my colleague who's joining us from Jaipur. Dev, a bit of a commotion in Jaipur. Congress workers protesting there as well. Get us the latest.
Absolutely, Preeti. The Congress workers in Jaipur are carrying out this march from the Pradesh Congress Committee office towards the Ambedkar Circle near the Enforcement Directorate office. And you see senior leaders of the Congress who have been walking out here. These people claim that the summons that were issued to the Congress leaders were unjustifiably issued, and that is why they are carrying out this march. Pratap Singh Khajriawaz, Cabinet Minister in Rajasthan government, is there with us. Pratap ji, क्या आपको लगता नहीं कि ईडी का जो समन है उसको लेकर आप लोग जो प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं, अगर वो सामने आकर आपके नेता ईडी में अपनी बयान दे दे तो वो ज्यादा अच्छा रहेगा?
आप बयान के लिए कौन मना कर रहा है, लेकिन ईडी पॉलिटिकली कार्रवाई कर रही है। कश्मीरी पंडितों की हत्या हो रही है, पंडित पलायन कर रहे हैं कश्मीरी पंडित। देश में महंगाई बेरोजगारी के कारण केंद्र सरकार फेल हो गई। अपनी फेलियरनेस से ध्यान,
मतलब है ध्यान डाइवर्ट करने के लिए किया?
बिल्कुल, टोटली ध्यान डाइवर्ट करने के लिए। कश्मीर के हालात क्या है, कहाँ है केंद्र सरकार? ये जो बीजेपी जुल्म कर रही है, महंगाई बेरोजगारी से लोग दुखी है और परेशान है, इन सब मुद्दों से ध्यान हटाने के लिए आप राहुल गांधी और सोनिया गांधी की आवाज बंद करना चाहते हो।
हाउ डज टेकिंग दिस मार्च आउट हेल्प यू सर? ये कैसे सॉल्व करेगा आपकी जो पॉलिटिकल लड़ाई है, इसको आप फिर आगे कहाँ लेके जाएंगे?
जनता की आवाज सबसे बड़ी आवाज है। पूरे देश में प्रोटेस्ट हो रहा है, राहुल गांधी सोनिया गांधी के साथ देश खड़ा है, और ये वही है उस परिवार के लोग हैं। इंदिरा जी ने बलिदान दे दिया, राजीव गांधी ने बलिदान दे दिया। डराना चाहते हो? कांग्रेस ने डरती है ना गांधी परिवार।
गोविंद सिंह डोटासरा, द राजस्थान कांग्रेस चीफ, इज ऑल्सो विद अस। डोटासरा जी, जो पूरा मार्च निकाल रहे हैं आप, इससे क्या मैसेज?
देखिए, ये फासिस्टवादी ताकतें हैं, संवैधानिक संस्थाओं को खत्म कर रही हैं, एक घोषित आपातकाल इस देश में लगा रखा है, राजनीतिक प्रताड़ित कर रहे हैं, न डरेंगे।
डोटासरा जी, बीजेपी का कहना है कि ये जो पूरा है, ये इन्फोर्समेंट डायरेक्टरेट अपना जो कोर्स ऑफ लॉ है वो फॉलो कर रहा है। आप लोग, आपके नेता क्यों डर रहे हैं ईडी के सामने आने के लिए?
कौन डर रहा है इन चोरों से? कोई नहीं डर रहा है इनसे। गए ना राहुल गांधी, करके दिखाओ ना। गलत दुरुपयोग कर रहे हैं संवैधानिक संस्थाओं का। कितने साल पुराना मामला है, कोर्ट में चल रहा है। क्या चाहते हैं ये? कोई डरने वाला नहीं है इनसे।
क्या आपको लगता है पॉलिटिकल बेनिफिट उठाने के लिए कर रहे हैं?
ये पॉलिटिकल क्रेश करने के लिए जो मोदी जी कहते आए हैं कि कांग्रेस को खत्म कर देंगे, कांग्रेस मुक्त भारत बना देंगे, ये कांग्रेस मुक्त भारत नहीं बना पाएंगे। कांग्रेस हिंदुस्तान के लोगों के डीएनए में है। न गांधी परिवार, कांग्रेस पार्टी का कोई नेता न झुकेगा न डरेगा।
डोटासरा जी, कांग्रेस के बारे में बार बार कहा जाता है कि वो स्टॉप गैप तरीके से प्रोटेस्ट करती है, सड़कों पर उतरती है, आज उतरी है, फिर पता नहीं दोबारा कब उतरेगी।
क्यों नहीं? सबसे ज्यादा हमने किए हैं केंद्र की गलत नीतियों के विरोध में। अगर कोई धरने प्रदर्शन कोई किए हैं तो हमारे यहाँ सरकार होते हुए भी हमने किए हैं। और आप देखना, आने वाले दिनों में इनके घुटने टिका के रहेंगे भाजपा और आरएसएस के लोगों।
सर, आपको क्या लगता है कि जो महंगाई का मुद्दा है, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट का मुद्दा है, उससे सरकार जो है केंद्र की वो डाइवर्ट कर रही है?
केंद्र की सरकार मुद्दों से, जो प्रमुख समस्याएं हैं इस देश के लोगों की, उनसे ध्यान हटाना चाहती है। पॉलिटिकली जब राहुल गांधी जी उनके ऊपर वार करते हैं तो उनको क्रेश करने के लिए ये षड्यंत्र रच रहे हैं।
Well, so clearly at this point in time, Preeti, as you could have heard, the senior leaders of the Congress maintain that the BJP is trying to indulge in political vendetta, and that is why it is fighting against this entire vendetta politics of the BJP. That is the allegation of the Congress, and right now this march is being taken out from here, and they are moving towards the Enforcement Directorate office. And at this point in time, the senior cabinet ministers in Rajasthan government, including the state Congress, apart from the state Congress chief, are a part of this march, and they claim that this entire protest is against the BJP's politics of vendetta. Preeti?
All right, Dave, we're going to continue coming back to you. So, viewers, we're going to cut across to various centres. A lot of protests that are going to be taking place where the Congress is organised in various cities and various centres across states. But let's dip into the latest news break that we are getting in right now. You know, well, some Congress workers have actually managed to come there. They're making their way out. They're going to be sitting in one corner waiting for Rahul Gandhi to come. They're coming in, you know, ones or twos. If I don't know how they've been able to come in. But having said that, news break coming in, viewers. Robert Vadra has come in support of his brother-in-law on a Facebook post. And I want to take our viewers through this news break that's just about coming in. Robert Vadra on Facebook, the social media platform, has said, Rahul, you will be undoubtedly exonerated from all baseless accusations. I have 15 times been through summons and visits with Enforcement Directorate and have answered every question and delivered more than 23,000 documents of my first rupee earned till date. I believe truth will prevail and these harassments of the prevailing dispensation will end. I want to now cut across directly to my colleague Kamaljeet Sandhu, who's joining us from the Congress headquarters. She's joining us for more. Kamal, can you give us a sense of the kind of the numbers in terms of the cadre that has reached the AICC headquarters?
So we're putting out details right now of what Robert Vadra has said. A detailed Facebook post where essentially he's saying that Rahul Gandhi is another victim of vendetta politics by the Modi government. Speaks about his elaborate experience with the central agencies as well. We're getting you the latest updates from the ground, the latest reactions. Robert Vadra there also expressing his solidarity. Let's cut across to Ashok Gehlot's reaction.
आरोप भी राजनीतिक से ग्रसित है। कोर्ट में केस ऑलरेडी चल रहा है। ईडी का पीछे में आगे पीछे में है। पूरे देश में ईडी के छापे पड़ रहे हैं। जहाँ चुनाव होते हैं वहाँ सीबीआई ईडी आ गई है। ये कब तक चलेगा देश के अंदर? ये देश वाले जानना चाहते हैं मोदी जी।
लेकिन कह रहा है कि भ्रष्टाचार करने वाला पहली बार भ्रष्टाचार कर रहा है, वो पहली बार सत्याग्रह कर रहा है। क्या कहेंगे?
भ्रष्टाचार करने वाले सत्ता में बैठे हुए हैं। ऐसा करप्शन हमने 40 साल कभी नहीं देखा। क्या इनको समझ नहीं आती है? क्या जो प्रधानमंत्री जी को गृह मंत्री जी को नहीं मालूम है? इतना कर्ज बढ़ गया, इतना गुना बढ़ गया है। सब जगह कर्ज बढ़ गया है। उसको रोकने का भी प्रयास मांग करते हैं। एक कृपा करो प्रधानमंत्री जी, एक आप देशवासियों को संबोधित करो कि शांति भाईचारा रहना चाहिए।
All right, we're going to get our viewers the very latest. So at the Congress headquarters, big leaders filtering in. What you just heard was Ashok Gehlot. He's coming to the Congress headquarters, not very far away from where I stand. But this is what it looks like, viewers. It's stunning, the kind of silence that prevails around the ED office. It's an arterial road. Usually at this point of time, it's traffic hour in Delhi. This would have been completely jammed with traffic. This is the road that possibly, in all probability, if he doesn't come in, from the other side, would be the road that Rahul Gandhi will take to come into the ED office. The endeavor, we've spoken to the administration here, is to make sure that Rahul Gandhi enters alone and there is nobody from the Congress in terms of protesters, the cadre or any leader with him. I'm going to go into a quick break. To stay with us. Continuous coverage. Rahul Gandhi is going to be at the ED office. 11 a.m. is what we are getting to understand, that he's here in the National Herald's case. We're going to get in a little deeper on the other side of the break and tell you what exactly is this particular case about. More on the other side with all our reporters joining in. Stay with us.